Tabby.
And and I'm Caitlin. And today, wow, it's been a
We're in
while.
a silly, goofy mood today.
We are silly goofy. It's been a while. Today, this week, we are discussing To Love Jason Thorn by Ella Maise. And we don't have much to
LMAs,
say,
more like
but
LMFAO. This book was
uh
a joke.
good one. That was hilarious.
Like,
Can I just kick us off? I think the way we need to set the tone is I'm just going to go ahead and read the back of the book on Goodreads, and then I think you all are going to know the vibe if you haven't read
yeah,
this book already. If you did do your assigned reading, first of all, good job, gold star.
we almost didn't.
We almost didn't. We almost stopped. Actually, I don't know. I was into it at
I did
first,
like it at first.
and
There's
then
just some weird things that happened.
it was, yeah. Yeah, let me just jump into it, okay? So, Jason Thorne, my brother's childhood friend. Oh, how stupidly in love with that boy I was. He was the first boy that made me blush, my first official crush. That's a poem.
Oh,
Wow.
Ella.
Sounds beautiful so far, right? That excitement that bubbles up inside you, those famous butterflies you feel for the very first time, he was the reason for them all. But you only get to live in that fairy tale world until they crush your hopes and dreams and then stomp on your heart for good measure. And boy, did he crush my little heart into pieces. After the stomping part, he became the boy I did my best to stay away from, and let me tell you, it was pretty hard to do when he slept in the room right across from mine. When tragedy struck his family and they moved away, I was ready to forget he ever existed. Now he's a movie star, the one who makes women of all ages go into a screaming frenzy, the one who makes everyone swoon with that dimpled smile of his. Do you think that's dreamy? I certainly don't think so. How about me coming face to face with him? Nope, still not dreamy. Not when I can't even manage to look him in the eye. Me? I'm Olive, a new writer.
Oh, me?
Sorry, that was hard to deliver, but I think I did a good job. Actually, I'm the writer of the book that inspired the movie he's about to star in on the big screen. As of late, I am also referred to as the oh so very lucky girl who is about to become the wife of Jason Thorne. Maybe you're thinking yet again that this is also dreamy? Nope, nothing dreamy going on here. Not even close. To Love Jason Thorne is a full-length standalone, which also contains some pretty hot and descriptive sex scenes. Winks. Like in asterisks. Winks. Oh, good heavens.
She's like, I bet you're wondering how I got here.
Actually, I literally wrote this book. Oh, me? I'm
Me?
Olive.
Let's rate it.
Okay, I I would rate this book a 6.9. Nice out of
Nice.
10. And I bet you're wondering, Caitlin, why so high? Like that's pretty high still if you didn't like this book. And to that I would say there were things that I liked about it. And we will talk about those things. But overall, the vibes were not immaculate. You know what I mean?
I'm conflicted on
Mm-hmm.
my rating because I'm thinking back to the time I've read this book twice now. And the first time was again when I was getting back into reading, and
Mm-hmm.
rom-coms were pretty much like all I read. And I loved this book the first time.
Yeah.
So much so that that's why I recommended it for the podcast. And then when I read it this time around, I hated it.
Mm.
Um,
Average the two. Average
I
your
am going to
feelings.
average the two. And initially, I was going to give it a 7.04. I'm thinking like a 6.46
No, that's fair.
out of 10.
It's not great. But just as this like if this were converted into a percentage, like you got some credit. You did
Yeah.
some things right. And this was published back in 2015. That's nearly a decade ago.
The
Okay.
humor was different back
The
then.
humor, yeah, I'm sure this fucking killed when it came out.
The
Women
moms
were
were
like,
eating that shit up.
the wine moms? My God. They were like, this is the funniest, sexiest book I've ever read in my life.
Yes.
And things change so quickly in this like genre of like what is kind of trendy at the moment. What
Yeah.
tropes are trendy? What vibes are trendy? But specifically like rom-coms. I feel like there are
Yeah.
some genres that don't really change that much.
It's just like, you know that one friend that just doesn't really read filth like we do. And they're like, I have like the perfect smutty book for you, like toes curling, like
Hmm.
smut. And then they hand you this.
And you're like,
And you're like,
oh.
oh, okay.
Then you start to like wonder what's going on in their personal life.
Like, hey, queen, are you okay?
Like,
You getting what you need?
do you need a couples therapist or
And I
but
hate that. I really
I
do.
hate it. Why don't we get into the
Yeah,
characters?
let me quit shitting on Ella here. Like,
Yeah, she did nothing wrong. Like, it's for an audience. It's just not the two of us. And that's all right.
and this is just our opinions.
Yeah. The world doesn't revolve around you, Tabby.
I know.
God.
I wish it did.
It,
Let's
my
talk.
world does. The,
Let's,
the
for
people
those of you
can't
who
see
couldn't
that.
see me,
She gave me a hand heart.
hand heart. Let's talk about Olive, our main
Olive.
female character, the queen of the story. God, she was horrid.
So I think this is a reference most people will understand. Olive is Senorita Awesome coded. And by that, I mean a little
Like,
hard to be around.
like you little pick me bitch.
A
Like,
little pick me bitch, but also like you don't want to hate her because like she's not doing anything wrong.
she's a nice gal.
But
But she's not. She
no,
doesn't like other women, I
there
think.
were times that she genuinely, yes, was judgmental about women who she did not know and had no reason to be judgmental
She's
about.
not a girl's girl.
No, she's not. And that's just surprising to me. Like, I don't know. I guess in 2015, maybe a lot of women
Maybe we
weren't
weren't
girls,
girls
girls.
girls.
Yeah, like I get it. I get it.
I will say, like, the beginning of this book about had me crawling out of my own skin because we're seeing everything at first from, how old she was, 7 year old's
Yeah, like
perspective,
6 and then like
and then
10 at the beginning. Oh, maybe older.
13,
Yeah,
yeah, something like
13.
that. And so we're seeing this from a 6 year old's perspective, and she's just head over heels in
Hmm.
love with this boy. And you're like, oh, that's very cute.
Yeah.
Whatever. And then we skip to the 13-year-old. And like the thing she was doing, like we've all been 13 before, and it was too spot on. I
It
think it
took me
was too
back.
accurate, and I didn't like it.
It took me back. You know where it took me? It took me to a dark place. It took me back to the night that I texted my crush freshman year at our friend's
Mhm.
birthday party.
Yeah.
Okay, but I didn't pretend to be someone else. I didn't do
No,
that,
see, I'm
just to
not
be
a
clear.
fucking psycho.
I'm not
Like,
a fucking psycho, but we had been, friends for a while and I had a crush on this boy and I was at my best friend's birthday party and they were all like, "Oh, do it, text him. Tell him you like him." And then he said he didn't like me back and
he said,
it just
no, thank you.
harshed the vibe of the birthday party.
And it's like that could be someone's villain origin story. And it was Olive's. And like the funny thing is, like she keeps saying, like, oh, he stomped on my like crushed my heart, broke my
Yeah.
spirit. And it's like all he did was respond to what he thought was an age appropriate young lady.
Yes, he
And was
was
like,
like,
no, I don't have a
"Oh,
thing for my best friend's underage
but
sister.
then at the end of the book, she backtracks and is like, no, that was actually my brother who did that. He's like, no, that was me. Like, I found the phone and I pretended to be Jason and texted you back to get you to stop. And I was like, what the
Like you
fuck?
little freak.
Like, that's worse.
That's bad. Like that's
That's
gross.
a bad thing to do. Bad brother.
The
Hated it.
whole ending was actually not my favorite.
The ending was
And it was
like,
rough.
yeah. We'll get there. Yes, that was really uncomfortable, like being in that mindset of a teenage girl. No one wants to relive that. But then she remains childish even
Yeah.
as an adult because the bees thing, like she was so scared of the bees, she could not contain herself and she's never even been stung by a bee. She's just convinced that if she gets stung by a bee, she'll die. And I'm like, that's not normal
I
behavior.
I do get that, but I'm not gonna act like that in public. Like, I would still let it happen, but I certainly think I would also die.
You probably wouldn't, though, is the thing. Like, you'd probably be
Like,
fine. And
I do
I
understand.
understand health anxiety, but this seemed like specifically bees. It doesn't seem like
Yeah.
she has health anxiety about anything else.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't act like that ever.
No, it was wild. There were people watching. And then also at one point, he like accidentally gropes her whenever she starts to fall and he catches her. And she's like, oh, he really liked that. Like, score one for my boobs. And I was like, what the fuck?
Stop. Like, act like a goddamn adult. There were also times though where like the two of them together, it was very cute. And like
Hmm.
especially when they were, bonding and like you could start seeing like their love for each other start to grow and you're like, "Oh, this book isn't that bad," and you can forgive some of these
Yes.
transgressions. But then like you'll just jump right back into it again and she'll say something or do something. You're just like, "God damn it."
Yeah. No, seriously, it kept like
It kept
leading me
giving me like a
on.
false sense of hope and
Yeah,
security.
exactly. And then just the rugs pulled out from under you again. And then you're like, who do I have to blame but myself, really?
Really. But
Uh,
she's
yeah,
fine.
she's
She's
fine.
okay.
I don't know.
Is what it is. Jason also just fine. Okay, and here's the thing. This is another reason why I had a really, really hard time reading this book. My dad's name is Jason, and like I just didn't like it. I didn't like
So
it.
I thought about you at that,
I
like
didn't
at
like
one
it.
point, because I was listening to the audiobook a lot, and what it reminded me of, like, I didn't necessarily like remember that your dad's name is Jason, like in the moment, like while
Hmm.
I was listening to it. But what it reminded me of, because I had it on like 1.5 speed, and the way that she said the name Jason at 1.5 speed sounded like her name's Caitlin something, and she does TikToks that are like funny, but she's
Yeah.
like does one where it's like that couple who bullied you in high school gets married and these are their vows. And it's like,
Yes.
Jason,
Oh
I
my
really
God. The wasp lady.
Yes, the wasp lady, Caitlin something. But
Yes.
it reminded me of her like Jason.
I had to like make up a different name
Yeah.
throughout the book. It was just ever changing. And I also just could not picture what this man looked
What
like.
does he look like? Like
And
apparently
I
he's
landed
hot.
on like younger Adam Brody,
Yeah.
but I just couldn't do it. So for those reasons, like I hated him
Mm.
personally because how
He's
dare you?
also kind of a piece of shit because he
Yeah,
just
like
like
he's
abandoned his best
douchey.
friend and like second family. He was just like, oh, ghosting y'all, even though they got him through like the hardest time of his life. Rude.
And I'll talk more about the ending here in a little bit because that leads me into that as well. But it's like they kept trying to give him these redeeming qualities, but like he was kind of like a controlling, aggressive man. Like he
Yeah.
was a little aggressive.
Yeah, because okay, they meet up with each other for the first time in years, and she's like a little bit thrown, and at first she kind of doesn't know what to do. She just like
Yeah.
pretends not to recognize him. And he's like, "No, no, 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 I'm gonna drive you home." And then not only that, but I'm gonna get out of the car and follow you up to your place. And she's like putting out so many
No.
signals of like stop, like I don't want to have this reunion. And he just like is inserting himself. It was really aggressive.
Yeah, and then he does that like throughout the whole book. And like there's certain times where that's okay. Like you could tell he's like very like dominant,
Hmm.
in the bedroom and stuff. And that's totally cool. But it's like even outside of that, like he was just kind of a dick.
Yeah. No, I agree.
And
Not
there were some
my
like
favorite.
nice tender moments, but overall I was not impressed with his behavior.
Yes, like you were saying, they were trying to add all these redeeming qualities to him, trying
Yeah.
to make him seem like, oh no, he's actually like
He's just a
perfect. And
troubled
he's
man.
not. Yeah, and we're totally okay with that. We love morally great characters.
He's
However,
not morally
don't
gray.
pretend that, I mean, he's not, but he's kind of an asshole, which is
Yeah.
also something that is
I do like
fine,
that, yeah.
but don't pretend that he's not. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Like, let's call a spade here. Like,
Yeah, like be
he's
so
an
for real.
ass. And it's like it's weird to like depart that from this young man he was at the beginning of the book. Like out
Hmm.
here just fucking rizzing up the Taylor household, like burying himself into the hearts of this family, only to never speak to them again.
It's pretty
And
fucked
poor
up.
Olive. And also, what a weirdo. What a weird child.
Yes, because you're telling me you're going to meet a child that's 4 years younger than you. You're also a child when you meet this
Yeah.
child, and
Like this is a 10-year-old.
you're going to call them little one.
I about year old. Like
Yeah.
I quite literally just about evaporated because like
Hmm.
that is like some weird shit that you read in like the real like age gap romances, like the
Yeah.
really, really dark ones
Ugh.
where like it's this like old man who's like 65 and then like it's this 22-year-old girl and he calls her little one and I don't like it.
I'm not okay with it. I'm not okay with it. Yeah, because not only did he, as a child, call another child little one, but then as an adult, even when they were romantically involved, continued to call her that. And I think that's offensive.
It's like, where the fuck did you pull that out of as a 10-year-old? Like, he must have heard his dad say it or something, which is even worse.
Ah, and
Where'd you
then
get that from?
Lucy like also called her so he called her little one, he called her little Olive, and then Lucy also called her little green Olive.
Like a little
Uh,
green olive.
but I'm just like, I don't understand. Like, why is everyone calling her little?
Like, she's not little.
She's
Apparently, she has like the biggest tits you've ever seen in your life.
but
Like,
she's a speck of dust. She'll blow away in the
yeah, if
wind.
she turns sideways, she'll disappear,
But also, except for the yitties
except for her titties.
and ass.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, her proportions, never heard of them. They're
So
unachievable.
she's just, if she turns to the side, she's a straight line, and then you'll see like a half circle where her tits are and a half circle where her ass is, and
Yeah.
that's what Olive looks like.
So good luck with that, ladies.
Hey, summer bod goals 2025,
Yeah,
okay?
little skinty queen. I feel like the side characters were really good. Like Olive's family was so sweet.
Her parents are
Very
great.
nice people.
Her parents are really good, loving
Yeah,
parents.
they
They
took in
can,
like a whole other child.
yeah,
They
I
would have
wish
kept
they
him
were
too.
real. Yeah. But then her brother is obviously a little too meddlesome, but I don't
Yeah,
think he had bad intentions.
he's
He
just an
needed to
older
mind his business.
brother.
He can't help it. He's fine. Lucy,
I liked
I
her in this book.
I liked her in this book, and we'll talk later, guys. She's funny.
PTYL.
She's a good friend. At first, I was excited to read her book,
And then
but
we read 5 pages of it and we made change our mind.
yeah, well, more at the end of this episode. Stay tuned. Shar, I was right not to trust that bitch from the beginning. She's a snake. A snake. And also, not only is she a snake, she is just genuinely a bad person.
She's
Because,
a bad person.
yeah, like you can be like a little bit conniving, a little bit like,
Yeah, I love that.
that's fine. No, she harmed people. She drugged a man.
Yeah. Britt killed a guy.
Charlotte can suck my dick. And then
Yeah.
Marcus,
And you
too.
know, when I catch you, Marcus,
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 Marcus, you better count your fucking days, bro. I think he's the worst like character in
he's
this
a
book.
villain. He's a
He
villain.
broke up with Olive and
Mhm.
then had the audacity to like act all territorial, even though he's
Yeah.
the one that dumped her.
You know
No.
what it like kind of reminded me of, but like in not a good way. Like you've seen Parks and Rec, right?
Yeah.
So you know how like Anne and Andy fucking broke up, but he like broke his leg and just continued to like live on her couch forever, but then was
Yes.
like pissed off whenever she would like date other men.
Oh my
That's like
God.
what it reminded me of, except I liked Andy and
Yeah.
I did not like Marcus.
Well, Andy
I did not like
was
first and
a
second
different
season
vibe.
Andy.
Yeah, I think they were going to make him hateable, and then they were like, oh, we could turn
We
this character
can't.
into something.
Yeah, and that's like what Marcus reminded me of.
Yeah. Ugh, Marcus. Gross, 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 gross.
But that's all the
Uh,
side characters.
yeah, so we'll just kind of move right along into thoughts and concerns. I would say
Got
the
some concerns.
first and foremost is the spicy scenes in this book.
Yeah.
So again, like there were times that I was like, "Oh, this is like kind of like fun and exciting and
Hmm.
interesting." Like for example, there was this one scene where Olive was writing a book and because she's an author, and she was like, "I want this like romantic scene to be authentic, so I'm going to watch audio or listen to audio porn while I'm writing so that I can be in like the
In the
mood,
zone,
basically."
yeah.
Yeah. So she's doing that, and then Jason comes home and he's like, "Oh, like, are we watching porn?" And I honestly loved that. I thought that was fun.
Yeah.
I thought it
It
was
was
funny,
cute.
flirty. And then I can't remember if she ruined that scene specifically, but there were multiple times that it was like, okay, we set this up to be like a fun, like little
Hmm.
flirty thing, and then it got weird. And it happened every time.
And like at first it was because she was like getting in her own head.
Hmm.
Or was just trying to be like quirky, I guess.
Trying to
But it
be
just came off like
Senorita
very
Awesome.
off-putting.
Yes, it did.
It like reminded me of like what early Allie Hazelwood books would do.
Yes.
Um, where like you would get down to the nitty-gritty of it, and like there's been so much fucking tension up until this point, and you're like, finally, these two little nerds are gonna do it, and then they would ruin it every
That
time.
is the perfect way to describe it. It is giving early Allie Hazelwood novels.
Yeah. And she's
Um,
learned from her mistakes.
Yeah,
So,
now she's writing
some
some
pretty
top-notch
good books.
stuff, okay? So maybe we should, if Ella Mace has written more recent stuff, maybe we should give that a shot. But I don't know.
Maybe. We'll see. We're not gonna make a promise on that. But yeah, so like really the spice was just a little disappointing.
It was hot and cold.
It was okay.
One of the things that I thought was wild in this book was a scene where they're like in a hotel room, right? And they have these separate bedrooms. It's a suite. And so Jason like goes to bed in a separate bedroom. And Olive like screams. Okay, when Olive screamed, I was like, what the fuck is it now, bitch? Like, what?
Like you again?
Yes, I was like, it better be a good goddamn reason to scream. It turns out it was because somebody broke into her room. And I know that this is serious, like, stalkers are actually so scary, but I laughed out loud when all of a sudden Olive was getting like from across the room, she was getting charged at with a taser. Even though at this point, there was not only Jason was standing between them, but like literal security was in the room as well. But this girl was just coming at her with a taser. And I was like, why would you do that? Like, you've been caught. The jig is up. What are you
Go
doing?
home.
Go home, like save face a little bit. No, she would,
Yeah.
and like that's not even gonna do anything. Like, are you trying to murder her or not? I don't
She's
understand.
like, this will show her
I really don't get
not
it.
to mess with my man.
It's so wild.
That was honestly probably one of the funniest parts of this book. And it
Jason's like,
wasn't
you
supposed
better
to be
keep it behind
funny.
it. No, it was supposed to be
Like that was
serious.
like a big like turning point in this book.
Yeah, because he was like, oh my God, I really care because I didn't want her to get tased.
Because this whole time he's been so conflicted about introducing her to the spotlight of Hollywood and like all the bad things that could possibly happen. And then the worst of it did happen. And that I think that did like kind of kickstart the rest of his anxieties about it. And that caused a lot of the miscommunication throughout the book. But like what a funny situation.
It was wild. And maybe I'm fucked up for laughing at that, but I think if it happened to me, I think I would laugh too.
Yeah, like that doesn't happen in real life.
If somebody tried to tase me, I would be a little traumatized at first, but then I think I would laugh about it.
But like, yeah, that's my look. I did really, really like the tropes in this book. The brother's best friend trope is just delicious.
Mm-hmm.
Truly.
Amen.
I eat it up every time.
Mm-mm-mm. Delicious. Okay, the other thing is like friends to lovers when done well.
Yeah, when done
Love
well.
that. Love that.
Marriage of
Here's
convenience.
marriage of convenience. Oh, yes, marriage of convenience. All good tropes, right? Here's the thing. I think you can have too much of a good thing. I think you kind of like over
Mhm.
season the dish a little bit, and I think
Yeah,
that's what
yeah.
happened with this book.
There was a lot going on.
There was a
Like a
lot
lot.
going on, but then also not
Not
much.
enough. Because we had so many plot points going
Hmm.
around that she didn't like because you keep a rom-com short. It's
Yeah.
just like that's the general rule of thumb. You keep a rom-com less than 500 pages.
Oh yeah.
And because of that, like she did not elaborate enough.
Hmm.
And I feel like there was just a lot of loose
Yes.
ends.
Yes. Because like the side plot with like Shar and Marcus,
Yeah,
wild. The side
didn't need
plot with
it.
like Lucy and Jameson, unnecessary.
That was just
Completely
setting up her book, I
unnecessary.
think.
But we could have probably done without it. I'm
Didn't need
guessing.
it. That would
I'm
have saved
guessing.
us a few pages.
It would have
Would have saved me a couple pages,
it
tell
would
you
have
that much.
saved me some brain cells. And then the other thing about this book that I thought was nice, like besides the tropes that we enjoyed, I did think it was fun and like
Yeah.
lighthearted. The vibes were like
It was like
fun.
such a good concept. It just was not executed the right way, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
Because like you said, I think there's just too many plot points going on. I think we
Yeah.
needed to trim and focus our storyline a little
Like,
bit.
how awfully bold of you to write about an author and then you like not even have like
Eh.
fully hashed out
Not even have your
like
plot
plot
map
points.
done. Well, Olive doesn't seem to think before she writes. She just
That's
kind of
true.
sits down with her laptop and starts typing. So,
She's independent.
which is that is a choice, I'll tell
That
you
is a
that
choice.
much. And you know what? I bet it works
Um,
sometimes.
So there are a few things that we did not like about this book. I think kind of tying into like the whole plot point thing, there was like too much miscommunication.
Yeah.
We already don't love the miscommunication trope,
Hmm.
but I specifically don't like it when it's just fucking one thing after another and it all does not tie in well.
Yeah.
And it's like at some point you're just like, this shouldn't work out between you. Like maybe this wasn't meant to be.
Yeah. And that's okay. Break up.
And it's gonna be fine because you know what? I don't know if you'll stay married.
No, they
I
probably
don't.
won't. Another point about that is like, again, miscommunication. I feel like that's its own trope as well. And so, like,
Mhm.
that's yet another thing that was sprinkled into this little hodgepodge of tropes.
Whatever this was.
And I just think, yeah, like, we just need to trim some of it out because
Yeah.
it wasn't doing it any favors. Like, it just wasn't good.
Because you can do one thing and you can do it really, really well, but it's really hard to do a lot of things really well.
Yeah. But I do also understand, like, she probably was just, when she was writing it, kind of focusing on the things that
Trying,
people like in books,
yeah,
and at a certain point it got away from her, I'm
I
sure.
get it. I do.
Okay, here's one very specific thing that I noticed. At the beginning of this book, octopus arms were mentioned on two separate occasions.
Hmm.
So, like, at least twice in this book did we talk about octopus arms. In the first, and I remember it well because the first context was when Jason was like banging that one girl against a wall in the alley.
Hmm.
And he was like, yeah, I would get her octopus arms from around my neck. Like, I don't even know, man. It was
Like,
weird.
what an interesting descriptor.
And then the other time was when Lucy was cuddling on Olive's boobies and she was like, get your octopus arms off me. And I was like, okay, that's two strikes now.
Twice now you've used this.
Yeah. And
Doesn't, I mean, I
and the
guess.
boobies was already a strike on its own.
Yeah, like that's a separate issue. I hate the word babies in a book. Grow up.
Boobies. Also, one thing I really hated about this book is when Olive got super sloppy drunk and then was like trying to hump Jason, and he literally said, no, don't do that. But she was really drunk, and then he was like, okay, fine, I'll finger you.
Like, have you no shame?
It was
No
questionable.
morals?
Very questionable. Very,
It's like,
very questionable.
fuck, I guess.
Yeah.
You crazy horny girl. Like,
That made me very uncomfortable.
No, because first of all, she was acting a fool.
Yeah.
A fool.
I
And
think
it's
she was like
like,
blackout drunk.
put this girl to bed with a cup of water and some aspirin.
Yeah. Like you don't need to lay in the bed with her too.
No, you need to leave her on her
Yeah.
own, on her
Yeah.
side.
Hmm.
You do not need to be going anywhere near her right
That was
now.
actually wild.
That's like very pervy of you.
I didn't like
Very
it.
predatory.
Yeah. Because at this point they haven't done anything together.
Yeah.
Not that it makes it better if they had, but it's just I think it doesn't make it better if they had, but it makes it worse that they
But it's
didn't.
like there
You
was
know what
like
I
no
mean?
prior like consent, I think is the
Right.
issue. Because if at any point she was like, no, I want you to like do that
Hmm.
and it's
Yeah.
okay, like it's okay.
That conversation
No, we didn't have that
didn't
conversation.
happen. And then also they sniffed each other a lot. Like a
That was
lot.
weird.
Like
Listen,
brought me
there's a
back to the
time
Omegaverse.
and a place, and it was not in this book.
No. Like if in all manners except physical, you are a wolf, then yes, I
I
accept
get
it.
it. But like
Um,
my head and my heart were not in that.
no,
Um,
I think they were fully human in this book.
yeah,
And they were
so
scenting each other.
like quit it. Like don't get me wrong, I love the way my husband smells. Like I
Yeah,
do.
but like you
But
don't
like I'm also not
gotta.
just like sitting there like sniffing him all the
No.
time.
No, it's like you catch a whiff of his cologne and you're like, "Oh my God, babe, you smell good."
Yeah, I'm not just taking like a fat whiff constantly.
Yeah. No, you're just like, "Oh, that you smell really nice. I like your cologne."
I like
That's
that.
that.
And I'm not gonna be a freak about it.
Anywho,
Maybe that's judgmental of me. I don't know.
no,
Um,
it's a little it was overdone.
it was. It was very distasteful. We do have some discussion questions
We
for
do. Let's
for
knock
the
those out
first
really
time in a
quick.
little bit.
So, I have a question for you.
Okay.
What are your thoughts about dating an A-list celebrity? Like, especially if
Mm,
you weren't famous and they are.
no.
Mm-hmm.
No, thank you.
Agreed.
Like,
Elaborate.
first of all, I have anxiety
Mm-hmm.
and I don't want to put that on myself. Like, people are fucking crazy. Just imagine they get like TikTok fame. Like, the people micro obsess over this one person, they get fucking feral.
Yes, they
And
do.
like the way these people act towards these celebrities, and like if I just happen to be like in a relationship with them and get caught in the crossfire, I think someone would murder me.
Yeah, no, you genuinely would not feel safe. And
No.
I mean, this is something that just happened recently with Chapel Roan. She
Yeah.
had a legit stalker,
Mhm.
like, make her family uncomfortable, like, find where her family lives.
Yeah.
That is whack.
That's jacked. Jacked
And
up.
and the thing is, the people doing this are obviously not mentally stable. It's
No,
not
they're
like you
fucking
can
delusional.
reason with them and be like, "No, don't do that," because they're not well. So,
Because
like,
like
how
I'm
do
going
you
to
protect
be with this
yourself?
person, and the only way I can do that is if you are not there.
And on top of that, on top of your safety being an issue, the paparazzi always putting your picture in the magazine. I walk out to my trash can and put my trash in my little moo with my wet
Yeah,
hair from
like
my shower.
I don't need you
Like
taking pictures of none of
I
that.
can't do it. And even on a good day, even when I'm like
I don't
looking
want to
good,
see
like
that
feeling
shit.
myself. Well, the thing is like other people are still gonna be like, she looks like shit, even, and
Yeah,
then
it's like
it's
who
like,
fucking
oh,
asked
I
you?
fucking did my hair and makeup today, and they still think I look like shit. Like I wouldn't be able to
Yeah.
take it.
People are fucking assholes to
Yeah,
celebrities. Like these are people.
I
These
know.
are just people too. Well, and on top of that, like celebrities ain't shit.
That's
Like
true.
odds are
They're
they're gonna
probably,
dump you for someone who's famous
yeah,
too.
they're probably not gonna be faithful. They're probably addicted to cocaine, and they're
Yeah.
probably gonna go to jail at some point, and
You
you're
know
gonna have to
what's
bail them
so
out.
funny? I like thought about this in the bathroom at work today. Um, because there was like a crackhead or whatever at my store. And
Uh-huh.
I was like, you know what though? Like there are children of celebrities who are dealing with the same thing, but it's like okay because they're celebrities. But like
Yes.
they're like famous drug addicts that
Yeah.
just have a lot of money.
Yeah.
And it's in like
They
you
can
also have these
do
people
They can,
here who are also drug addicts, but they don't have
right.
money, and so it's not okay.
No, celebrities have access to rich people drugs.
Yeah.
It's different.
No, I literally thought about that today.
Hmm. It's classier,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, in conclusion, no. I would not want to do that. Would you be like as chill as Olive was about living with your ex-boyfriend who dumped you?
No!
Like,
No. As soon as that motherfucker dumped me, I would be like, that's it. I don't care that I have $0.
yeah, I
I'm
will live in
leaving.
fucking squalor.
Yeah. I would be
Move
like,
back in with your parents.
yeah. Well, she was in school still, but
Yeah.
I would be like, I would make it work. I would be like, whose dorm can I just go lay on the floor for the rest of the
Yeah.
semester?
I'll sleep in the cafeteria, thanks.
Cause I ain't doing it. And then whenever, especially when he started pulling that shit where he was like being all like jealous and like, I'm
Yeah.
like, you fucking dumped me, bitch. No. I don't know how she did that. That's
I don't either.
wild.
You're a
She's
weak
crazy.
woman.
She's insane.
For
For
Marcus? For
Marcus,
Marcus? Let's be
um,
real. Let's be
be so
fucking
for
for
real.
real. Yeah, no, I couldn't do it. Never. Never.
Oh,
Ugh. This book was trash.
okay, which leads me to my next topic because next week, what we had originally planned was to read the sequel to Hate Adam Connor. But I think we're gonna pivot and
I don't think we're going to.
we brought evidence, okay? So I have the book pulled up right now, and this is page 4. It's not spoilers because it's page 4. So Lucy is going on talking about how like she had fallen in love with Jameson and now he's like gone. So she says, I recall seeing some ink on his chest and forearms, and then he turned around and I saw those tight buns. Suddenly we were in my bed and he was giving me and my lovely vagina the time of our life. I've already mentioned how good those monster cocks feel, haven't I? Um,
Right on.
wild, wild.
Page 4?
Page 4, and then on the same page, she starts talking about like back when she would kind of sneak into Olive's room to sleep because she didn't want to share a bed with him when they were just hooking up. So she said, funnily enough, that's how I used to end up going for sleepy time on my best friend Olive's boobies. Sleeping and cuddling with your one night stand is a big no-no. The best part, Olive's boobs were the best freaking pillows in the world. Trust me on that. So soft, yet so firm.
It's like, why the baby talk? Like,
Mm-mm.
why? Like, why?
Because this is just her thinking to herself, which is even
Ugh.
wilder. Uh,
And it's
so
that type of fucking like Gen X humor that, no offense to the Gen Xers out there, but like you thought that was funny, didn't you? Like you
yeah,
laughed when she read that.
I'm sure you did. You were like, wait, what's the matter with
Like
it?
there's nothing wrong with that. That's fucking gold comedy.
And I'm gonna be the first one to tell you all that it's not.
It's really not.
It's
And
not.
so we're not gonna read it.
So we're not
Because
gonna read it.
because if that's what page 4 is gifting me,
It's not gonna be good.
I'm not interested in the rest of the book.
And the other thing that kind of put me off, I believe there was a review on Goodreads because I read that and then I stopped reading it last night because I was like, what the fuck?
Not that we have to justify this to you, but I would like you to know my
I just want them
reasons.
to understand. So yeah, this person rated it a 4.75 and they said, "Excuse me, why is Jason Thorn more talked about than Adam Connor? A crime upon society, I tell you." Which maybe Adam is a better character than Jason. But
He
then
is.
she said, Lucy was my favorite ever. She was independent and hilarious. She spoke her mind and didn't let anyone walk all over her.
This woman is aged anywhere from 45 to 54. No
No.
offense to like older people in general. I like feel like I'm kind of shit right now,
No, because
but
the thing is, we are also aging. Like I get it.
we are
Like,
older.
yeah. We are older than a lot of people.
Yeah,
But we're also younger than a lot of people.
but I also don't think that shit's funny.
Um
I'm not that
so
old.
so now you know where we fit into the mix. So instead we're gonna come up with just a fun mini-sode instead. But we don't have an idea
We're
yet. Just
gonna
know.
read like a freaky ass novella is what I'm feeling.
Yeah. We'll post on Instagram about it and update our website so that you all can read it too if you want in time for our mini-sode next
Like,
week.
you know what? Hmm.
You have one in mind?
We could do Thrum.
Shut up. Shut
We
up,
could do
shut up, shut
Thrum.
up. Okay, all right.
New plan, guys. We're doing Thrum.
New plan. We're doing Thrum by Meg Smitherman. And it's really fucking good.
It's really spooky.
Oh my God, what
And
a
that is the
oh
day before October 1st.
yes, because we the week after next, we are going to be starting the with the first book, Corrupt by Penelope Douglas. What is that
Yes.
series called? The Devil's Night?
It's called the Devil's Night series by
Yes.
Penelope Douglas. And I think this will be a very good segue into that because
Ah,
it is like a sci-fi horror romance-ish.
there is
There is
a
a
romance
romantic
aspect,
aspect,
but
yes.
do not go into it thinking that it's a
There
romance.
is no, it's not,
It's
there is
not.
not a happy ending.
Yeah.
It is not romantic. It is scary,
It is scary, but I love it.
but in the best way. And it's
Yes.
only about 100 some pages. You can
Yeah,
read
like
this shit in like an
120.
hour.
Yeah. Guys, I'm so excited now. Oh
We're
my
doing
God.
Thrum. And then please, 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 if you're going to go ahead and get started on Corrupt, I do ask that you check all trigger warnings before getting started because there's a lot of stuff in Penelope Douglas's books in general that could be deemed taboo, that may be triggering. So just make sure you're comfortable with that before getting started.
Totally. Always do that, especially if you're not super familiar with what a book is
Because
about.
it gets pretty dark.
Yeah, so we're starting off our spooky season, and I'm so excited.
Yes, me
Um,
too.
okay, everyone, get started on Thrum by Meg Smitherman and Corrupt by Penelope Douglas if that sounds like a good read to you. We will talk to you next time, and as always,
Let's get lit.